guys, it's Jessica from Pizza Books, and today I'm here with a video about how to read more. And I want to thank the sponsor of this video, which is Basmo, which is a reading app, which I will get to. So I have 2 tips on how to read more, and Basmo is a way that greatly helps one of them. But the first tip I have for you is you have to love reading. I have read over 190 books this year, and it's June 22nd, the day I'm filming this. I am a full-time teacher, but that does mean that I do have the summers off. So I am currently on summer break and I've been reading a lot this month, but that is 190 is including the 5 months I was working this year. And I was also finishing up my master's, and I still read a lot because reading is just so exciting to me. And I think that if you start seeing reading as a competition and you feel like you have to read, you're gonna burn out and you're gonna hate reading. So make sure that you are excited about reading and that you are choosing books that you're excited about, because I have a never-ending TBR of fabulous books that I get from BookTube and Instagram and recently from Book Talk too. And so I've used social media as a way to really get excited about reading and find new books and authors that I'm excited to read. So first off, make sure you're excited for reading. Second is to make reading a priority, which is where Basmo comes in. So Basmo is a reading app, and it really has helped me prioritize reading, at least over the past couple weeks that I have been trying this app out, because I have a problem of being distracted by my phone. Now, typically during my everyday life, I don't watch a ton of TV. I have my few staple shows, and I maybe watch 2 hours of TV a day, which seems like a lot, but like in the grand scheme of things, 2 hours of TV a day really isn't that much. I rarely watch more than that, and usually like I didn't watch any TV yesterday. And I read an entire book yesterday because I was using Basmo to help track my reading, and I had set a goal of reading my entire book in a day, and I did that. So I make sure to prioritize reading. I listen to audiobooks whenever I have a free moment. So when I'm running, cleaning, sewing, doing laundry, I'm listening to audiobooks. Audiobooks are real reading. I love audiobooks so much. But the part about making reading a priority is that you have to make sure you put down your phone. So the first thing that I love about Basmo is the fact that I can track my reading time. I'm going to show you a clip of just this morning using the app to make sure that I am dedicated and focused and not getting on my phone. And I actually got this tip from Riley Marie. She timed herself, and she wasn't allowed to do anything except for read during that time. And I always, my mind's going like a mile a minute. I'm like, oh, I have to check this and email this person and do this. I don't let that happen. I set the reading session on Basmo, and I just read and don't get on my phone. I don't do anything unless my dogs need something. If they need outside, I'll get up and go let them out. But if they're contently sleeping in my lap, I just sit and read for a uninterrupted, usually 45 minutes to an hour, and then I'll let myself check Instagram or get up and get a snack or something like that, and then set a new reading session. So I'm going to show you what it looks like when I set a reading session. Also, once you are able to set aside undistracted time for reading, another great way to read more in a year is setting goals. And so we all know that we usually have like a yearly goal, right? My yearly goal is 150 books. I've surpassed that already and I haven't set a new one. But the cool thing about Basmo is that there is a way to set a yearly goal here. And I'm a numbers person. I love thinking about like how many books a day do I have to read, and so they tell you how many minutes a day you should be reading, and I feel like that's a great way to prioritize reading so you can get your reading time in. Now I've only been using this for a couple weeks, so I only have my weeks worth of books in here. I have not yet gone and inserted my 190 books I've already read, but I have set my goal, so it's a little off numbers wise, but I am able to see how I'm doing. I can see how my yearly goal is. I've already inserted 10 books in here. Like I said, I've only been doing this for a couple of weeks, so I only have my last 10 books that I've read. I can adjust my goal if I want to, make it longer or shorter. I can always share this somewhere, so it has really fun little things that shows that I want to commit to reading that many books. Another way that actually makes reading a lot more fun is tracking how I feel about the books that I'm reading, which I showed you in the clip of me reading. So I have a hard time remembering every book I read. I've read 190 this year. I don't remember character names, and plot points kind of escape me usually a couple weeks after finishing it. But the really cool thing about Basmo is that it's for yourself, and I tried having a notebook, but I would get behind and I would be like, oh yeah, I finished this book last week and I never wrote down my thoughts about it in my notebook. And it's kind of different than like leaving a review on a review site, because this is for me, so I want to put spoilers in here and I want to write down how I was feeling, and I can't really do that on like reviews for other people unless I could put a spoiler warning. This is for my notes, and so I can always bring this up when I post a video or doing a wrap up on YouTube. And so what I really like is that I can write down my feelings. So one of my sessions that I had for Inked and Lies, I wrote the angst. I love Lila as an adult, and the tension between her and Nova is everything. And that's when I had finished reading a section of it, and I just really love the fact that I can go back and look at my notes about the book and how I was feeling all in an app instead of forgetting to write it down in my notebook and then getting like 10 books behind, and I'm just like, I can't anymore. And so I feel like it's much more convenient on my phone rather than in the notebook. And I was doing a bullet journal, but then like I would get behind again. Bullet journaling takes so much time to like get and do and like design, and I don't always have time for that, and I was falling far behind, and then I was getting annoyed with my reading because I was falling behind on the tracking part. So I love having something like here that I can just track my emotions and thoughts in after each reading session, and it doesn't get lost in like my notes on my phone, because then I'm like, well, how do I know that? So I can just click on the book that I've read and see the notes that I wrote about it. I also did it with Reel, I believe. I had a session, yeah, and I just said the progress that I had, how many minutes I did, and how I was feeling. I know for The Darkness Outside Us, I was like, I'm so confused on what's going on. Is this a game? Do they have a certain amount of lives? Is there training? And so I like knowing that I had some sort of reaction to what I was doing and how I felt while I was reading it. And so it's really easy to find a book. Never had a problem finding a book in their system, and it's really a lot of fun. I'm excited to go and add my 190 books that I haven't added yet. And what I really love, this does also break down the stats, so I can look and see how many books I read. And now obviously it says like I've read like 1 million books so far, and it shows me my projection of how many books I need to read in order to meet my goal. I have a lot of reading to do. It also shows me stats on how much I've read each day, which I really love, and I think this is going to be really cool to use for readathons. I have the historical romance readathon coming up next week, and I think that I'm going to really love using this to see how many hours I'm reading throughout each day and how many books I'm reading each day. And I know there are some readathons that are devoted to time, so like the 24 and 48 readathon is one thing, and this is like the perfect way to track it. I know a bunch of us on BookTube are obsessed with stats and graphs, and this shows graphs of how like your hours you're reading, how many pages a day you're reading, and so that's really fun. Now I'm not going to be tracking my like audiobook listening on this app. I'll like insert the books that I read, but I definitely want to track how long I spend reading physically so that I can look at the patterns I use, and if there's specific days that I read more than others, if I should be making more time certain days than others. I have started books without using this, and that's why it says I've read 130 pages an hour. I have not. There is also a really cool feature where you can design book quotes, and so I think this is great. I don't tab my books. I'm not someone who wants to tab my books. I rarely feel the need to, and I know a lot of people are into that, but there are times when I'll see a quote and I'm like, that is so perfect. And so I had this quote from Inked in Lies and I was like, that's perfection. I need to remember that. So I took a break from reading. I made this little image. So it says, I hope you know, lie, I do love you. It's never gonna be enough, but it's as much as I got in me to give. Yeah. And that's what Nova said to Lila in Inked in Lies, and I was just like, my heart. So I went in and designed this, and it's really fun to design. You get to pick the font, you get to pick the background, you can search different images to add to the background, and so I thought that was a lot of fun. So I added that because it's honestly one of my favorite books of the month, so it's exciting to be able to remember that through there. There's also a feature on here that lets you plan reading time, and so I don't know about you. Like I said, my phone's my big distraction, and I will get on TikTok before bed, and before I know it, an hour is gone. I think the reading scheduler is amazing for telling me to get off my phone. So not only is it a great way to keep me off my phone while I'm reading, like I'm not allowed to touch my phone while I'm in a reading session, but also it lets me set a time. So if I know I want to read at 9:30 tonight, I will set a time to say, alert me at 9:30, I want to have a reading session, and it will schedule my reading for me. I know people have done experiments where they will read for an hour every day and see if they can stick to that, and I think that's a great way to start for reading more, is to schedule an hour out of your day every day in order to read. You need to, like I said, prioritize reading, and so this is a great way to make sure you're staying on track. It'll show you that you've been reading an hour for every day. It's a great way to time yourself in order to make sure you are prioritizing reading, and make sure it's not feeling like a chore though. So it is fun to be able to write down how you felt about the book you were reading and make little different graphics of quotes that you were reading, and so it makes reading engaging, and it also holds you accountable. So then you can see in that graph, hey, you read Tuesday, Thursday, but Wednesday you didn't read at all, and so you can see and hold yourself accountable of if you were actually reading when you want to be reading. You have to be prioritizing reading. People ask me how I read so much because I sit down and I read, and so I think Basmo is a great way to help out with that, and it's really great to just keep track of all the books that you've read, and I'm excited to be using it to post videos so that now I don't have to look at my Goodreads review and just say, oh my gosh, I loved it, and here's the synopsis. Okay, yes, I know the synopsis, I can read that on the back of the book, and instead I have my in-depth thoughts, and so it'll help me really keep track of my reading and how much I remember from it and my reading experience. So the notes are great, it's all personalized for me, and I can go back and look at it. So I cannot wait to continue using this app to make sure that I'm reading enough, and so I think it is a perfect way to prioritize your reading. But that's all I have. So in order to read more, it's my two things: have fun with it and prioritize it. And I want to thank Basmo again for sponsoring this video, but like I said, I've been using them for a couple weeks now, and I think that it is a great way to track your reading and to hold yourself accountable to be reading. Like I said, I'm so distracted all the time by my phone. I think we can all agree, your phone is a distraction. I'll get a notification, be like, oh yeah, I want to check how this video is doing today. I want to check what someone posted on my Instagram. When I'm reading, I need to hold myself accountable and say, no, it is reading time. You cannot be distracted and not read. You need to get your reading time in. So this is a great way for me personally to make sure that I'm holding myself accountable to be reading. But that's all I have. Let me know if you've ever used this app or how you hold yourself accountable for reading. If you have a set time every day to read, if you have a set time that you're supposed to put everything down and read, if you have any goals set, if you want to read an hour a day, 2 hours a day, if you ever have different goals for different days, like, you know, today I want to read a book in a day, so I'm going to make myself do it. Or you're like, you know what, I know I'm super busy, my goal is just to read 30 minutes, that's it. 30 minutes is great still. So in order to read more, you have to make reading a priority. Everything about Basmo will be linked down below. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.